Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Late Tuesday night, Brent Venables, Jim Nagy, the Oklahoma Sooners land in my opinion, fascinating commitment from three-star. I'm going to call him defensive chess piece, Niko Jandreau from Arizona. Now, right off the bat, he's got a twin brother who's a pretty damn good football player as well, who Oklahoma is recruiting as well. This kid, Nico, and I think I got the pronunciation right on the last name. He is so fun to watch and kind of emerged on my radar over the last couple of weeks as you've kind of seen this kid's recruitment start to take off. Like, I'll be the first one to put my hand up and say 2 months ago was not on my board in 2026. Did not know much about this kid. A lot of power for interest over the last couple of weeks. And this was one of the things we talked about when Jim Nagy took over at Oklahoma in that general manager role was, hey, what's it going to look like in terms of the talent acquisition, the roster building? What kind of football players do they want to build this roster with? Well, I think we might be getting a little bit of an answer here. Football players. Because you look at Niko Jandreau, this is a guy that you turn on the film, plays just about every position on the football field. Deeper third safety, box safety, off ball linebacker, nickel. He'll come off the edge. This dude flies around the football field. The best way to describe his game is like Tasmanian devil. He's long. He's extremely physical at the point of attack, can do a lot of different things. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of a flyer here. I see linebacker for this kid. From what I've seen and what I've heard, he's closer to 200, 205 pounds going into his senior year. This kid is a bone cruncher. He wants to be around the line of scrimmage, maybe plays that cheetah role for Oklahoma as well. I think that's kind of the moral of the story with him. Go bring him into this program, figure out the rest later. You talk about a kid that is wired the right way, a guy that Brent Venables wants on the defensive side of the football. Nico, in my opinion, fits that. Want to get into a little bit of the film, want to talk about where Oklahoma is going on the recruiting trail, which I think's a fascinating conversation to get into. Before we get into it, as always, to the Oklahoma fans, appreciate you guys. Look, it's going to be a busy, very busy next couple of weeks for this Oklahoma program on the recruiting trail where, look, Oklahoma's kind of hung back. I think with the new general manager staff, you might say the front office staff coming in the spring, I think there's been a little bit of a reset of the recruiting boards and the kind of a re-identification of the guys Oklahoma wants to go after in 2026. I think you're going to see a lot of new targets emerge. We're going to have a lot of commitments to talk about over the next couple of weeks. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, again, an under the radar kid according to the recruiting services. What I would stress here is this is one of those kids that the recruitment has really picked up for him over the last couple of weeks. Again, USC came in and offered him. The Washington Huskies came in and offered him. I believe Georgia Tech offered him as well. Starting to get some buzz around this kid. And look, rightfully so, this is kind of where the sport is going. Like when you look at where is college football going as a sport, there's a lot of versatility in terms of personnel. You're going to see teams that run 12 personnel. You're going to see teams that don't have a tight end on the field and are running air raid. You got to have defensive chess pieces. You got to have guys that can do a lot of different things at a high level. And I look at Nico and say, he's kind of that guy because he does so much and can provide so much value in, kind of different spots. Like you see him here starting at safety. This kid, when he's at the safety position, like deeper third, when it's time to trigger downhill and go fill in the run game, you're not going to see many better. I mean, he's a guy that's a headhunter coming downhill, knows how to pick through traffic. See him playing like overhang linebacker, a little bit of a nickel role here. You see him come downhill. When it's time to go make tackles in space, this kid can do it. Again, he could play off-ball linebacker for Oklahoma if that body develops. And he's a put-together kid. He's a lean kid right now, but he's put together. You could see off-ball linebacker in his future. You could see him playing that cheetah position. You could see him playing the deeper third as a safety. So many different options for a kid like Nico, and you continue to work through it. Again, I mean, really good instincts in the back end, coming downhill, being physical at the point of attack. This kid wants to get his nose dirty coming downhill. That is something you always see on the film, working through blocks, finding the football. He's everywhere, and he does so many different things. I think that's what, and again, really good instincts here. It's a guy that just when you want him to play little zone covers in that deeper third, just keep his eyes on the quarterback and go make a play on the football. He can do that as well. Now, the reason I like him as potentially an off-ball linebacker is that's just where I think this position is going in football, where even in the SEC, like you're seeing teams generate or kind of go to a lot of speed and space. And as teams go with less 12 personnel and more speed and space, you have to have your linebackers that can cover, that can drop back in coverage, that can go sideline to sideline, that can run and chase and close the distance between themselves and the ball carrier. That's kind of what I see in this kid. And so, look, if there's one guy I trust to figure out how to use him on the defensive side of the football, it's Brent Venables. And I'm sure that the versatility and the potential options that you have with this kid was something that was really attractive to both Brent Venables and Jim Nagy. Got a brother too, Dandrio. Now he's a little bit more put together, and I was kind of watching them both at the same time. You know, he's 6'1", a little taller, a little bit thicker, probably going to be an off-ball linebacker, but I mean, you can tell these kids are twins because they both just fly around the football field and hit people pretty damn hard. Again, these are guys that not only do I think are good football players, but are guys that I think Brent Venables, the kind of people that Brent Venables wants on this Oklahoma roster, specifically on the defensive side of the football. Now, you look at Oklahoma in 2026, this is the 5th commitment that they have. So it's a pretty small class to start. Now, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One, couple new coaches, most notably the new front office with Jim Nagy. I think there's going to be a little bit of a different strategy in terms of how this team is going to build their roster, not only in the transfer portal, but on the high school recruiting trail as well. I think it starts with the quarterback, where you landed the commitment of Jaden O'Neal at this time last year. Well, it sounds like you got a new top target at quarterback, and that's Bo Bentley. And, you know, we haven't been able to talk about this yet, but with Jared Curtis committing to Georgia, that helps Oklahoma and their chances with Bo Bentley. And I've been very vocal. I think Bo Bentley is an absolute stud. Like, this is a guy that relatively new to the quarterback position. He's a gamer and he's a winner. And he's not going to impress you in these 7-on-7 off-season camps, you might say. You go put on the shoulder pads and helmets Friday night, this kid gets it done and is a dynamic playmaker. And I can tell why Ben Arbuckle wants this kid in his offense, because he kind of reminds you of Cam Ward. He kind of reminds you of John Mateer. Again, I think we're going to see kind of some new faces pop up for Oklahoma over the summer. And I think we're all fascinated to kind of understand how Jim Nagy's going to go about his business building this roster. More specifically, what kind of players are we going to be going after in this 2026 cycle? This is our first chance to really get to know Jim Nagy as the general manager of the Oklahoma Sooners. Niko Jandreau, a guy that, again, I think I'm saying that last name right, really exciting, dynamic, versatile defensive chess piece. Don't worry about the star rankings here. Like, I think there's a lot to be excited about. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.